What's up guys, my name is Dean, aka the Blue Crusader, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'll be reviewing a new game called Summer in Mara. Originally starting as a Kickstarter campaign with over 9.5 thousand supporters and raising over 230,000 euros, Summer in Mara is a farming simulator that takes place on a tropical island in the middle of the ocean. It's an adventure that lets you take everything at your own pace while simultaneously looking after your island. I picked up this game originally as a free copy to make a let's play video on, and after completing the intro I didn't play it for a few days, although little did I know, after a spark of boredom one day I picked it up again and got sucked into the game's post-tutorial phase. I decided to be a completionist at this stage, with around 35 hours and close to the 100% achievement score, although there's still one or two achievements that still elude me and I'm having a hard time unlocking. I'm glad I picked up the game as it's one of the few indie games that I thoroughly enjoyed, for not only its story but its simple mechanics and overall charm. The game is set in the fictional land of Mara, a collective of islands or an archipelago if you want to use the appropriate geographical term. You play as a young girl called Koa who lives on her own island, fittingly dubbed Home Island in the game, a place she has to look after and maintain throughout the story. The tutorial sets the story off as your grandmother Haku, nicknamed Yaya by the girl you play, teaches you how to look after your island and introduces you to the in-game world. She's a species of blue people native to Mara called the Kido, people you'll encounter a lot around the map. Switch forward to the future and she has passed away and left you all her knowledge to be independent on the island and follow in her footsteps. Eventually you travel to the capital Calais, where you start off the quests and meet new people, including Saimi, the friend of the grandma who sets you on the right path. Without the overprotectiveness of your grandma, you get out of the small bubble and explore the capital of Calais, the first island that you're introduced to when sailing on your own boat for the first time after repairing it. Without ruining the story too much and explaining the ending, the simple synopsis of the objective is to seek out small orbs around Mara by completing the missions to unlock the Guardian's door on your island during the emergence of a new alien threat. It's surprisingly a pretty fun story to play. The game is basically a cross between so many other popular titles. Harvest Moon and Stardew Valley are pretty good comparisons in terms of farming games, but it also has some elements from Wind Waker, such as the boat sailing, and it's extremely close to the experience in Animal Crossing. I've never played that game personally myself, but after comparing some of the gameplay between that and this game, there's quite a few similarities, especially in the loading screens of both games. Basically, this is the answer for PC players to play a similar game if they don't have a Switch to play Animal Crossing or some of the Zelda games, although there's a Switch version of Summer in Mara too, although I haven't personally tried that version of the game. There's a huge host of varied and very interesting characters throughout the game's story mode. You'll encounter some 25 or more characters, each with a backstory that mostly gets covered or at least glossed over at minimum as you do quests with them and earn their reputation. Each character has a set amount of quests to do which fills up the bar, which I called reputation, after the completion of each individual mission, eventually letting you fill the bar completely and finish all the quests with that character, and then they're marked as complete and you'll be awarded an achievement. There's over 300 total quests in the game which add more depth to the story and world, and they heavily encourage exploration. Arguably a lot of these missions can be very repetitive fetch missions, where you need to go get something for the character and go back and forth to your island to cook, craft or grow something, although somehow the game doesn't make it feel too boring or linear. The game's upbeat style and feeling makes it all worth it and still fun, especially when you don't have to do the mission and you're not forced to pay attention to the story mission, as you can basically do it when you want to, and you can go adventure and sail when you need a break. The fishing system is pretty fun and varied. For an example, there's lots of different types of fish to collect in game, which are sold for a pretty good price to the vendors, and also the requirements for a lot of the cooking dishes. There's a different type of bait for most of the fish types in the game too, some that can be bought from shopkeepers and others that are a little more rarer that only spawn in secret places around the world. This is another one of the many encouragements that the game makes to get you to explore. There was only one spawn place for one of the fishing baits which I needed to catch multiple fish, which made it a bit of a challenge to actually obtain them when I had to keep waiting multiple days to get it. There's an achievement to catch every type of fish in the game, which is something that encouraged me to further explore after finishing the main story, and this was the most time consuming achievement that I had to do. The cooking system is pretty diverse too, which offers a large array of recipes to take advantage of, making use of the 100 types of vegetables, fruits, fish and any other looted or grown consumables in the game. Everything ties into each other perfectly, all of the systems like fishing, farming and cooking for an example. Eating is a good way to restore hunger and gain fatigue energy by eating so you aren't sleepy and have to rest, and some of the dishes are also very good for making a profit when you sell them too. You can flip some pretty mediocre priced ingredients into an expensive meal that you can profit from. You'll always need money in the game too, which encourages you more to do the farming and crafting elements of the game to make you self-sufficient, meaning all of the elements of the game are required to have a successful playthrough of it. This is how the game should be, and especially when you upgrade your boat, this is a big gold sink that you need a lot of money for that might take a while to earn. The farming mechanics offer tons of different seeds to plant that yield many different crop types. The growth system is based on the time in the world, and you can use manure and water to satiate and speed up the crop growth stages. Each day your plants will grow bigger, but they need watering every day too, just like normal flowers would. The weather system ties into this well, since during the rain periods, plants are automatically watered for you, so it cuts down a little of the trouble. During this rain phase, mushrooms also spawn in the world during these periods of moisture. This is the only time that you can harvest mushrooms in the game, and you'll need them for some of the cooking recipes. Along with the weather system, the day and night cycle actually has a real purpose. For an example, some of the main characters on the island and their stores are unavailable at certain times in the game, meaning you'll have to sleep to regain access to them or their shops. This can cause a little of running back and forth if you're past the daylight hours, which can be a little bit annoying, but they made up for this by allowing you to craft tents and sleeping bags. As the night comes closer, your character's energy gets lower, something that you can negate only with food, but eventually if you leave it too late, you'll still fall asleep or need to sleep anyway. The tier system allows you to upgrade your toolset in the game by obtaining each upgrade's recipe throughout the game's story missions, as well as sometimes via crafting the current next tier tool. There's the trowel for farming to dig up dirt and plants, the hammer to mine stone and ore veins, the axe which cuts down trees, the fishing rod to catch fish, and also the final tool which you get on a quest at the end of the game is the shovel, which you will later use to dig up buried treasure. Each tool can be upgraded by using different levels of the ores which you can obtain from the different islands as well as your own, and materials to make the harvesting process faster for each tool type. Digging up buried treasure around the world is really fun to do, and something that you unlock when you complete the main story at the end of the game, when you have only a few side missions to finish up on. You can buy different treasure maps from the various pirate characters in the game, and you can then go to the islands to dig up the treasure with your shovel. I spent hours stuck on one mission for buried treasure that I couldn't find before I realised I had to actually wait in the game to get the shovel mission before I could come back to it. There are a few occasions like this where some missions won't be able to be completed until you advance in the main story or via other side missions. One pirate will also give you 1 or 2 treasure hunting missions as side quests at the end of the game, and you can then later buy maps from him for gold to dig up more treasure which you haven't found. The construction process in the game is performed through using the hammer tool, which allows you to create small objects and ornaments across your island to decorate it or to form the main structures that are unlocked throughout the story to progress your island. There's also an achievement for making all of the final structures, which is achieved at the end of the game. These include the pier to dock your boat at and to start exploring near the game's beginning, the hen house for housing chickens to obtain eggs, the pig stable that lets you feed pigs to create truffles, which are very valuable to sell and one of the best items to make when you need money, the sheep farm to harvest and farm milk, the mine which unlocks an additional cave of valuable ores in more abundance to the standard starting cave which you get at the beginning. There's the greenhouse to grow different plants and flowers inside, and finally there's the observatory which is on top of the mountain. This is the final structure which you unlock at the end of the game, although this is mainly just for a visual build. You can also gather litter around the islands, mainly callus, which is the main island, and then you put them in the recycle bin, which you can also buy and put on your island too later in the game. There's an achievement for recycling items 100 times, which is most likely an incentive also for younger players to teach them the importance of looking looking after the environment, something that the game echoes a lot with some of the various lessons which are taught to the main character about manners and being polite in the missions. There's a good deal of vanity items in the game too, such as a pretty large collection of outfits which includes shirts and shorts, and also the backpacks which are all gained from story progression via the main narrative and the side missions. You can get 2 separate achievements for collecting all outfits and all the backpacks, and this is a nice little achievement hunter feat to do. All of these backpacks and clothes let you switch up the character style so it doesn't get too boring, and most of them fit together so you can create some really cool custom styles as well. But most of these, if not all of them, will be unlocked just by automatically doing all the missions, so it's probably one of the easiest achievements to do as long as you actually finish the game. Towards the end of the game, you'll find yourself with an awesome island with a companion living with you, tens of different crops growing around your home with lots of structures and decorations, and a lot more cool stuff. Each structure in the game serves a purpose too. For an example, the workshop and tool cabinets unlock more tools and smelting recipes in your house to craft, and the grill oven gives you more food types to cook in your kitchen at home. You can't actually use these structures to cook or craft with, but they just unlock more recipes that you can use in the house on the island. There's 2 types of wells, the standard well, the big well, and also the water tower, which each store and grant a different quantity of water to use on your crops daily, and these are refilled during the rainy weather periods. When the wells run empty, you'll have to wait until it rains to actually collect water to water your crops. You can also make a beehive to get honey from queen bees, and there's the fridge to make ice for some of the food recipes, such as the ice creams or ice lollies. There's also countless other random purposeless decorative pieces like the birdhouse, statues, tiki torches and tiki statues, some of the fireplaces, walls, and some more pieces which make your island look awesome, although these objects don't really do much. There's over 20 different islands to explore via sailing in your boat in the game, each island with different buried treasure or loot, crops, plants and animals, and each island boasts a different size or style. You can also sail over floating cargo in the water or collect abandoned animals cast adrift on the sea to take back to your farms on your island. There's generally a big focus on the exploration as each item brings something new, whether it be new fish types, new loot or a new mission location. Some islands leave hidden secrets, especially the ones which you don't actually go to throughout the story. And there's an achievement for visiting all of the islands too, which is a further incentive to keep exploring and uncovering some of the secrets they have to offer. To access these many islands, you must first acquire the map and upgrade your boat up to 2 times throughout the story with gold and crafted items like wooden oars and planks. An upgraded boat lets you have a deeper tank of fuel to in turn let you explore further out to the more distant islands on the sea to unlock more in-game content and tackle the later missions. You can't advance in the game until you actually upgrade your ship at these certain periods. You can manually sail and explore the ocean, although when this gets tiring you can also now fast travel by paying coins to skip the sailing process, which saves time by jumping to your destination easily, providing obviously that you've already explored it at least one time. This was a feature of an update recently after the release, and it's a super useful one because as I was playing the story after this update, it just made things so much easier and saved a whole bunch of time. There's some nice little Easter eggs in the game too, like one of the islands called Puny Cave, in the cave of the same name, has a lot of bottles inside with love messages in which you can read to get an achievement. There's different messages, some written in different languages like Spanish or English, and I'm not sure if they're real and sent by real people, possibly by the backers funding the project, although it's a pretty nice little Easter egg. There's also an achievement for reading all the crab mail letters, which are crabs on the islands or on the sea that you must locate throughout the game. Each of these have a different message in a bottle to read, with wise quotes or teachings or just random messages to different players. If you find 99 you'll get an achievement, although myself and most of the players have not actually found all 99 yet. I had to look for a few guides on the locations of some of these, but nobody had located all of them. I think I found around 40 to 50, which is basically only half of them at this point. One thing to cover is the negatives. Sure, I have a whole bunch of positives. Although I initially received the game for free, that was for an older video which I had already done by this point, so I have no incentive or reason to blindly spit point out the positives only of the game in this review video. These are entirely unbiased opinions from my gameplay after this time. So with that, I'll discuss the bugs now. Now the bugs for me were at a minimum. I actually only experienced 2 different bugs. One was an achievement for playing a radio in Puny Cave, which is the same location which I mentioned that those love bottles were in. This radio didn't spawn, perhaps because of my later stage in the story, although I couldn't make multiple saves to actually go back to complete the achievement. I'm pretty sure that it spawned at the start or beginning of the game when I first ventured there, but when I came back, as the story had completed, it just wasn't there anymore. Then the other bug involved the time freezing, which could not be altered or advanced, regardless of how long or how much I slept. Everywhere just remained dark. This was fixed simply by just restarting the game or backing out to the main menu and continuing, and it only happened twice across the 35 hours or so of playing, so both problems were relatively small and didn't negatively impact the gameplay, and will hopefully be fixed, as I did see a lot of other people report them too. Now, I can't speak for the Nintendo Switch rendition of the game, as I've only played the PC version, however, which seems to be fine, but I'm sure there could be some more bugs which I didn't mention on the Nintendo version of the game. To conclude, I recommend anyone who loves farming sims and exploration games to try this one out. It's one of those games with a great soundtrack that's pretty catchy, and it's super peaceful to play at night time or when you're bored or alone. It has something for everyone. You can micromanage your island, explore or follow the story when you so choose. It's not entirely linear, as you have a choice of sorts of what and when you want to do something. I think this game has a really unique charm to it, and it's unlike anything I've played before. I was fully captivated by it for 35 plus hours or so of playing it, so I'd highly recommend it for anyone needing a new game to pass time on. Thanks for watching this review video. Make sure to like it and subscribe with the notifications turned on so you don't miss out on daily Minecraft and gaming videos every single day, and I'll see you next time.